Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Neil, Chocolate Sayin, Arwin, who's now blocking my screen so I can't see anything. Who have I covered everyone? Neil, Chocolate, Arwin, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Greetings all.
Good afternoon.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, you enthusiastic lot. Very good to have you all. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Nonsense.
No.
Might need an axis and something to rotate.
Well, the axials or the celestial sphere is rotating.
Sorry, what was that, Chocolate?
I said you might need an axis and something to actually rotate on that axis. That something would usually be ball-shaped.
How's it measured? Rotation about an axis. How's that measured? Would it be radians?
Yeah. Need that.
You need what?
Where do you get the radians from?
From a radius value. Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius.
None whatsoever.
Well, what's the radius of the celestial sphere?
Earth radius. Arwin.
Well, whoever believes there's axial rotation spoke too soon.
Spoke too soon.
No radius value for axial rotation and radians that are asserted. We've debunked it with the black swan. So no R value means no radius, means no radians, means no axial rotation.
Oh, I get it. Spoke in a wheel. Good one.
Neil's just got out of that DeLorean and got the joke.
Update, man.
Yeah, 3 minutes ago called Neil. They want your laughter.
Well, listen, if something's moving, we would know it. And they're saying we're moving 1,000+ miles at the equator line of theirs sphere that's presupposed, and slowing down all the way to either poles. Well, this should be observable somehow, right? Especially if you get off the Earth and watch the Earth move under you. I mean, that would be normal, right? I mean, you can expect that.
What do you mean get off the Earth? Is there any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container for the assertion that the sky is an availability of space, called space, a sky vacuum? How can you have gas pressure without a container to enter an area they call space to look back at Earth, 10th?
No, I don't mean get off the Earth there. Just get off the Earth like in a helicopter. Get off the Earth. It should be spinning.
Well, you should have axial rotation at 15 degrees an hour based on the idea that we have Coriolis effect as asserted on a globe, which would be to say that we're on a non-inertial spinning reference frame turning beneath an inertial reference frame to observe things seem to drift away at 15 degrees an hour. In your example, a helicopter would take off and the ground would turn beneath it at 15 degrees an hour. So from your vantage point on the ground, the helicopter would whiz away from you at the rate that you're turning away from it. That's called Coriolis effect. We'd notice that does not happen. Nothing's drifting away at 1,000 miles an hour on the equator. We'd notice.
Yeah, but they they talk both sides out of their mouth. You got Neil deGrasse Tyson saying the Earth moved, and that's why the field goal went in. And you got them saying snipers have to adjust for the bullet once it leaves the barrel because the Earth is turning underneath. Then you say, great. Then if I get up in the helicopter, the Earth, no, it doesn't turn when you get up in the helicopter. Just bullets and footballs.
Yeah, the assertion is Coriolis effect, and that's the assertion that we're on a non-inertial spinning reference frame turning beneath something that isn't turning. Like you on a roundabout looking at a tree. That's the assertion that you're the roundabout on Earth turning beneath the tree, seeing it seem to move when it's you turning underneath the tree. Well, that would be an effect that they assert when they say the ball drifted through the goal because the Earth turned beneath it. So as you watch the ball, it looked like it curved through the goal, but it was really just Earth turning beneath it. Or snipers have to track their target because it's claimed Earth will turn beneath the bullet after it leaves the barrel of the gun. So you've got to account for that because Earth's going to turn underneath the bullet. Or Earth turns underneath the gyroscope at 15 degrees an hour and you observe it drifting in its cage because Earth's turning beneath the fixed frame of a spinning gyro. Or Earth's turning beneath a swinging pendulum and is drifting to knock over some dominoes around it in a circle because it's claimed Earth's turning underneath the back and forth motion of the pendulum. Those are all claims of Coriolis effect that assert Earth's turning beneath things. Well, then it would turn beneath helicopters, aeroplanes, hot air balloons, you if you jumped up and down. You'd notice. But they assert it with things that stay in the air for a couple of seconds. So the paradox comes when you say, okay, you're asserting that Earth turns underneath a football when it's kicked from the field and goes through the goal. It appears to curve because the ground turned beneath it. What about the blimp that's filming the game? The Earth's not turning beneath that now, is it? And it's in the air for a substantial period of time. So you're not observing the drift in the blimp, but you are observing the drift in the ball. You can't have it both ways. And their answer is to detail what the blimp does. It's like Coriolis, your effect of things drifting because you're turning beneath them is observed as you turn beneath them. It's got nothing to do with what the blimp does, and everything to do with you turning beneath observing stuff as you turn. So don't now tell me what the drift of the actual occurrence in the blimp is, because there isn't one. The blimp's stationary. Let's, in this example, assume it's stationary to film the game, and it wants to stay as stationary as possible to get a steady view of the game. So it's definitely not moving. But yet it's claimed that Earth turned beneath the ball, so it's going to turn beneath the blimp. It's not attached to the ground, it's not tracking along with it, doesn't matter if it's got engines. It's you observing it seem to drift from the ground. That's Coriolis. Nothing to do with the blimp. Other than the fact that it's not drifting. Earth's not turning beneath it. It's not drifting away from the stadium at 15 degrees an hour for you to observe it seem to drift like you're claiming the ball does. So we don't have drift. We would notice. Flight times when travelling west would be shortened. So, for example, a flight from Charlotte to North Carolina, from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA would take about an hour and a half because Earth would be turning beneath it for you on the ground to see it seem to drift. That's Coriolis effect. Well, for that effect to actually happen, you've got to have Earth turning underneath aeroplanes for there to be drift to observe from the ground. There isn't. The flight takes about 4.5 hours because Earth's not turning beneath it. If anything, the flight gets shorter when travelling east. So definitely not got the Earth turning beneath it, as is claimed with the football, the bullet, the pendulum, the gyro. I'm done.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. If you look at the definition of Coriolis, it's all convoluted. Like when I was a kid, they told me Coriolis was looking at water going down the drain in the north is different than in the south, and that's Coriolis.
Wrong.
I mean, there's so many things that convolute it. Yeah, I know.
Coriolis is you on a roundabout and you're spinning. Now, everything that's not on the roundabout with you looks like it's moving. It isn't. It just looks like it. And the rate that it looks like it's moving when it isn't is called Coriolis deflection. That's a not actual deflection. The tree you're looking at while you're spinning on a roundabout isn't actually moving. You're moving beneath it to see it seem to move. That's Coriolis effect. So it's claimed we're turning beneath stuff that's not attached like footballs. And because we're attached to something that is moving, like the roundabout, the stuff that's not attached seems to drift. Not actually drifting, it just looks like it is because we're turning beneath it. So we don't need to worry about what the football's actually doing because we're detailing a not actual drift observed as you turn beneath. So when you look at the blimp and go, so we're going to see a not actual deflection because we're turning beneath, and they start detailing how the blimp's powered, like that's got nothing to do with Coriolis. It's only observed as you turn beneath. When you start detailing what the tree does when you observe it seem to drift from a roundabout, it's nonsense. The tree's not doing anything. It's what it seems to do as you turn beneath it. It's what the blimp seems to do when you turn beneath it. Oh, it's not doing anything? Then we're not turning beneath it.
I'd like to share a couple of things with trees and wind. I work with golfers, and we were just at a tournament, and it was really windy. And the golfer I was working with looked at the treetops and it was moving left to right. He looked at the flag, left to right. And he says, I got to adjust for this wind. And I said, what are you going to do? He says, I think it's 10 yards left of the flag. I'll hit the ball and the wind will move it 10 yards towards the flag. So here's golfers who have to adjust to actual wind direction. Now, I've worked with the same golfer when there was no wind. He's going at the pin all the time because there's nothing going to affect the ball flight.
Lucky Neil deGrasse Tyson didn't show up in an emergency case and let him know, no, excuse me. What you're actually doing is wrong. Oh my God, this is so silly.
It's basic.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No evidence for a distance to the great light in the sky.
It's 3 AUs away.
There is even evidence that there is a distance at all.
Can I ask my original question?
Sure.
What's the radius of the celestial sphere?
Who cares?
What's the celestial sphere?
We don't
Okay.
deal with stuff in
No, it
space.
doesn't matter. It's not. It's a technical.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
It's imaginary. They say it's imaginary.
Just ask what's the radius of a celestial sphere. Where's the celestial sphere?
You don't get
No,
a
they say it's
radius.
imaginary.
You don't get a radius to not actual positions of non-physical items. It's based on what you view of it.
That's
Okay,
right.
'cause
So
I've
it doesn't
never
have
viewed
a
a sphere.
radius. That's
No.
right. The celestial sphere is a sphere that doesn't have a radius. How
Well, if it
confusing
did,
is that?
If it did, it'd be calculated on the optics being used there and then in that position. Your personal viewing dome, as Jaren puts it.
Right. But it doesn't have an actual radius then.
Well,
I just thought that was funny.
well, the optical
Sounds
field
like
of
it's
view
not
could
an
have a.
actual sphere
Hold on,
then.
hold on. The optical field of view could have a hemispherical radius. Yes, it could. But it's still just an optical field of view that you'd be calculating.
Yeah, but that's not the celestial sphere though. That's just your limit of sight,
Correct.
right? The
Yeah,
lights
yeah.
don't have actual positions.
That's what I'm saying. Precisely. I'm agreeing with you.
Right. I wasn't trying to be Baldwin. I just thought of it and thought, hey, this is interesting to consider.
Well, let me give you the official narrative on it, and then let's see what you say. The official narrative on the celestial sphere is that the stars go away for infinity. They just keep going. But for the use of mapping and stars, they have this imaginary sphere in the same shape of their imaginary Earth sphere, and all the stars are attached to it. So they say it's imaginary. They say it goes forever. So go on, Arvin, now have at it.
Well, those are claims from a heliocentric perspective. I don't really go by those.
I know, but that's their official narrative on it. So they have to match it to their imaginary Earth sphere. So they got a celestial North Pole, just like the North Pole. They got a celestial South Pole, just like the South Pole. They got the equinoctial, the celestial equator, just like the equator. It's just another globe over a globe, except they got the stars attached to it. And they say in the first sentence, it's imaginary.
Right. So by heliocentric standards, they could answer the sphere of the celestial sphere, of the radius of the celestial sphere is the size of the galaxy, of the endless space.
Yeah, they could. Yeah. Moving on. Any more on this? Distance to the sun? 3 AU's final
No.
answer. Arwinian units. No.
Can we calculate it?
Go ahead.
Can we calculate the distance between the sun and the Earth?
You can if
What?
you make a few assumptions. Yes.
You can calculate Arwinian units.
Not
You
Arwinian.
just divide the assumed or imaginary distance to the sun by 3. There you go.
When I opened it up to any more comments on this, that was your opportunity to throw this in. But now I've got a serious question from someone, Arwin. So no, we're not talking about Arwinian units. Just hold fire on that crap for now. Do you want to repeat your question?
So I'm just thinking if we can figure out exactly what's the distance between the surface of the Earth, like tangential speaking, and the sun. I guess also like the first point in the sun, whatever the sun is, whatever the shape the sun is.
Okay.
And actually, if we can even find out what the shape the sun is.
If as you added one word, the actual, then no. Apparent, and then you can make a few assumptions to assume that you know the actual distances, and then you can pertain to your audience that you have got the actual distances, and then explain how you've made a few assumptions to get there. But in terms of actually getting it, no, definitely not.
Well, maybe we can bring the question a little closer to where we are. They calculate their radius based on Al-Biruni looking at the horizon. Now, if he looked at the horizon 2 hours later, he'd get a different calculation. So if they can't measure it, then you're forced to calculate something. And they live in the world of calculations, math, not reality.
The reason you've been told that is because one of the assumptions is that you can derive the R value that you'll superimpose onto Venus to apply Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion to derive the scale. You need a geometric horizon to do that, to get the R for Earth, to get the R for Venus, to apply Kepler's third law. Hence, you've been told about not having a geometric horizon to get an R, to assume Venus is the same size, to give you those scales.
So they just guessed the size of Venus. You looked up and said, "Wow, that's the size of Earth."
Not exactly. They assumed the horizon was a physical geometric sphere edge, and then derived an R value from that. And then, ingenious, they assumed that Venus had the same R value as the assumed Earth R value when assuming the horizon is a physical tangent point to measure it.
It gets worse than that. They guessed the size of Earth. They never measured it.
Well, they just
Well, that
matched.
sounds ridiculous.
Well, they back-engineered it to fit with the
Yeah,
stars.
But before they guessed the size, they guessed the shape. They obviously observed one shape and then guessed it to a completely different shape.
So
Pretty funny if you think about it.
So chocolate, they go, well, it looks flat. It doesn't feel like it's spinning, but let's guess that it's not flat, and let's guess that it's spinning.
Yeah. That works out. We observe it flat, it feels flat, measure it flat, but yeah, it's ball. Sure.
Maybe I'm not walking right now, and the Earth is moving towards me.
Other
Maybe
nonsense.
that's because somebody's really drunk.
Could be. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Gravity, what's that?
What is gravity?
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson dropped the mic, so yeah.
And then I boiled a kettle and watched the steam go up whilst holding a helium balloon.
Hey, it's my helium balloon.
He dropped the mic because he can't handle the subject.
Too hot.
I mean,
That's
what
a
a
good
show of arrogance or bravado, should I say, much better word. Look, I'm going to spew out some nonsense. I have nothing to back it up. Then I'm going to drop this mic and do a theatrical action to prove that I'm right. Yeah, yet he
And then
won't
walk
debate.
away like I'm cool.
Yeah, yet he won't debate anybody.
Yeah, well, that's his out by saying he won't debate a flat earther because he assumes that we're stupid.
I reckon a helium balloon would make a bigger bang when it hit the studio lights than his mic hitting the floor. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? And before you answer, I'm going to shout out Truth in Your Face. More power to you, my friend. Love your channel. Subscribe today to Truth in Your Face. Globe states no rotation if you are at the North Pole. Does it? Therefore, a drone hovering at the pole should be seeing everything in the distance rotating around it. Yes, I see what you mean. Yes. Yeah, that's correct. A hovering drone would have the Earth spinning beneath it and it would just have a 360 view. Yeah, quite right. Thank you very much for the super chat. Truth in Your Face. Any
The
viable
question
hypothesis?
was,
Go ahead.
yeah, no, they all they have is observations like we do. We look up, we see the stars and other lights, and that's all we got. And then they go on some story of theirs. They can't go over there. They can't manipulate anything. They can't say we touched it.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
That's the biggest bullshit.
Yeah, the most farcical question on the list, I'll agree.
It's so stupid. I don't even see how anybody can even argue for that being true.
Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
No, the Black Swan has debunked that.
The curve of the Earth has been retired.
I watched a Flatzoid
Officially.
video, and he had... I just wasn't in the mood to trim it out, although I was tempted. Just yet another fundy who I don't know. Talking about how stuff is working in terms of perspective. Just boggles the mind that these guys... The video, because he's taking a little toy car and moving it away from the camera whilst simultaneously arguing that it's not going to get smaller, or I don't know quite what he was arguing, but he's showing perspective and talking about perspective, and at no point is he talking about Earth curve. It's like, I remember when I did this with a similar demonstration with a car, and then Sly Sparkane responded to it. Obviously, in the defence of Earth curve begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculations. But now we've literally got the reverse scenario where the fundies who are yet to catch up with the fact they're detailing something that's not in Earth curve maths are detailing to us the effects of perspective. I mean, it gets better by the day. So, shout out to you, Flatzoid. Keep going, man. Publish this stuff as much as possible. You know, and if you're a flat earther out there, you should be the same. You should have the same reaction as us. Our opponents are detailing our argument back to us. It's a joyous time to be a flat earther. It really, really is.
They got tired of looking stupid.
Wonderful.
Well, and it only took them 4 years, and despite them doing that now, they still denied that they had it wrong in the first place.
At one point in his video, he said, "It's just perspective, nothing more, nothing less." End quote. Whoever this fundy glowbed was. I'm like, so it's not Earth curve then? Just perspective, nothing more, nothing less. Wonderful.
I've been saying that for years.
I need to hear this. It's just
That's
perspective.
what my grandson said. I told you that the other day. They teach him it's just perspective.
Did you welcome him to Flat Earth?
So they're finally catching on to the curve function collapse, do they? It's about time.
No, that's got to come next, Darwin. At some point, I mean, we've seen it in a very raw form where you get them to detail to perspective that they're telling us we've got wrong, and then you ask them, where is it in Earth curve maths? And then they run away. At some point, they've got to start telling us how this effect they're detailing to us about perspective and how things get smaller in the distance and eventually can disappear through a diffraction limit, a limitation to the angle. How that effect actually works with their Earth curve maths that removes all aspects of it with feet and inches that are currently still being argued about. Yeah? You've got people like Ranty hijacking this calculator and its perspective and detailing and asking Flatzoid specifically why feet and inches values are missing. Like, yeah, you were there, Auntie, while we detailed how feet and inches values don't represent angular representations that change with distance. But yet you're still there arguing about the begging the question proof if nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator and its whole number values that don't change with distance. Whilst arguing about perspective on a sidetrack that has absolutely nothing to do with your Earth curve maths that doesn't include it. So at some point, these fundies have actually got to appreciate that they've got to detail why we have curve function collapse. That would be the curve that we don't see, the perspective that we do, and the maths that's got a geometric horizon that doesn't exist in reality. At some point, they've got to get from one to the other. Now, don't get me wrong, so far we've had one contender, R.C. Meisty, who came in to tell us all about how the Rayleigh criterion worked. I asked him, where is this in Earth curve maths? And his response was, it's in the Rayleigh criterion. So I reiterated, where is it in Earth curve maths? It isn't. So, fundies on the globe side currently detailing how perspective works. Yeah, shit shrinks. That's right. But it doesn't in your Earth curve maths. A 10-foot wall is a 10-foot wall at 100 metres or 100,000 metres. It makes absolutely no difference. It still remains 10 feet. So you can ask us why so many feet and inches are missing from the bottom of it. Well, that's not accounting for the perspective and angular changes that you've got with distance now, is it? A point we made 4 years ago and had a hand wave. It was brushed under the carpet. As opposed to you idiots detailing it in videos for us now. How wonderful.
They
James
don't
Platts.
like the geometric
love the irony.
limitation. They don't like the geometric limitation of their R anymore.
Well, they liked it well enough when Bill Nye was telling them that boats were disappearing behind this thing. Apparently, now this thing, we don't see it, we can't measure it. Boats were disappearing behind. It's weird.
Well, they were
Keep telling us how it's all perspective, Glovers.
they were hijacking perspective, right? Right, Chocolate? That was Bill Nye hijacking perspective.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, by saying the boat's going behind XYZ physical geometric spheroid horizon that only exists in the maths, and then asking us to qualify why a certain feet and inches value, that's the same if it's right in front of you or 100 miles away, has been obscured from the bottom up when I assume a physical geometric spheroid horizon's got in the way. How do you explain this 3 feet missing from the bottom of the boat? You're like, excuse me, why is this maths asking us why 3 feet is missing when the angular relationship changes drastically as it moves further away from you? That'd be an angular relationship. But yet, what, you're going to ask me why 3 feet's missing when it's right next to me, 3 feet's massive, and when it's 100 miles away, I can't see it at all? But you're going to ask me why a certain section of it's missing when you assume that 10 feet is 10 feet, regardless of what distance you're looking at it with, or what aperture of camera you've got to look at it with. All of those things don't get taken into account in Earth curve maths. Feet and inches only, that don't change with distance, a la perspective.
Well, bye-bye Earth curve.
I mean, so to the globies who want to jump into this type of arena, in this topic, you might want to do a little bit of research. Maybe go back and listen to 3, 4, 5 years ago when we were debating this stuff and telling you guys how it's perspective. So it makes you sound really silly in 2021 to come out and now state it blatantly in videos that it's perspective. Do you guys think that just taking our argument and using it against us is going to help you guys out? Like, we didn't notice? Are you serious?
Yeah, they are. They're serious. Right up until the moment we ask them where it is in Earth curve maths. Then they run away.
Then run away.
Yeah.
See, that's bad, Glover. Bad. Do some research. Might want to do that.
Indeed. It's discussed as a sideline, akin to the Earth curve calculators that have got a perspective comparison next to it. You're like, okay, so you're acknowledging that there's a perspective account that's taken in by us, and then here's your account without it, and it's let's compare this false dichotomy between the two. No, when we're comparing pictures, perspective's always definitely there. It's never ever removed. We never see the side of our own head as per your Earth curve maths. And we wouldn't ever describe something that's a foot away the same as something that's 100 miles away, because you can't see the thing at 100 miles, it's too small to see. So those things are real in photographs, always, without exception, and yet we should compare them to your maths that doesn't have them? No, we shouldn't.
Here's how bad it is, though, right? Globers that weren't listening to this 3-4 years ago. One of you guys came in here and told us that perspective is something that we made up, something that is only existing in maybe art class. It has no functionality in reality. I think it was P. Mars. Could be wrong. I think it was him. Right? So, again, how silly does it make you guys look when you want to tell us now that it's perspective? When before, 4 years ago, you were telling us perspective is some nonsense flat earthers are just using as an excuse.
An excuse for a begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, Earth curve, physical geometric sphere edge horizon that gets in the way and yet only exists in the maths when you don't have any perspective taken into account and you see the side of your own head compared to a picture like the one on screen that definitely doesn't include the photographer's head. But yet this very picture has been compared to Earth curve maths. A picture with perspective, things getting smaller into the distance, where they assert that no, this isn't getting smaller into the distance, it's dropping behind an Earth curve that only exists in maths. When we put the maths of seeing your own head and remove the fact that they get smaller into the distance, yeah, that's what they do. Because they're stupid. That's what globe belief does to you, makes you stupid.
Well, when they have to defend it, the belief itself, no one's out there talking about this in the public to where they're embarrassed when they say the stupid remarks we hear. When they come here and they have to defend it, oh man, they look pretty bad. So they're almost, it's almost like a drug, you know. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, but pass me the salt. But the minute you challenge them, they don't know how to answer. This is why a lot of people don't talk.
And if it gets bad enough, they'll ask you, can I have a citation that what you're saying is my claim is actually my claim, even though I just made the claim?
I was just going to go there, because how many times has Chocolate shared his dialogues with his co-workers? I mean, it's like, no way, that's not what I believe.
Nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve.
Yeah, something like that.
Shout out to Timmy. Shout out Retracted.
Yeah, shout out Retracted. The idea that you live on a sphere requires that you have a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve, obscuring things with a feet in inches value that doesn't change with distance. That's your belief. Now, we've debunked that notion that you've got a physical geometric sphere edge that you could measure to derive an R value to assume Earth's a sphere. We've debunked it. And in so doing, we get told by globe-believing idiots that literally, quote, nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve.
Incredible.
You just lost, globe believers. Badly.
Yeah,
And the thing is, the funny thing is that guy who said that wasn't like some brand new Glober just fresh on the scene. Like, this is a guy that has been coming in here for 4 years, spouting his nonsense, showing us pictures of horizons and telling us, yeah, that's the curve of the Earth. The same picture.
What was the title of the picture that he was trying to punt on that very show when he said, quote, nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve? What was the title? You remember?
I think it was the curve of the Earth.
It was, this is Earth curve and a picture of lots of horizons.
Four of them, yep, in the same picture.
So he's trying to punt a picture that he's been touting for 2 years, labelled This is Earth curve, pictures of horizons, and his demonstrations with a drone of what the horizon does when he raises and lowers in altitude. And when we point out how the Black Swan modus tollens works, if the Earth is a sphere, radius 3959, then every distance to horizon can be measured no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And the black swan shows the physical limitations breached. Therefore, the Earth's not a sphere. Response: nobody claims the horizon's Earth curve. Is that right, Tim Osman? Nobody claims the horizon's Earth curve, Tim? Okay, alright, that's fascinating. What's this picture you've got of horizons? This is Earth curve? Yeah, we know that's your base premise for your religious belief that Earth's a sphere, that the horizon's blocking stuff, and you ask us to qualify why a feet and inches value's been obscured by that physical geometric sphere edge, formerly known as Earth curve, that you're now claiming nobody says is Earth curve. Yeah, that's what the black swan does to your argument, sphere believers. We cover all the housekeeping questions.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about him and his drone, thinking that the higher he goes with his drone, the more Earth he sees, but it doesn't tie that to the angular relationship. He says it's Earth curve. When
I posted a clip of it in Master B if you want to play it. I don't know if it's got the exact quote, but I know he says something like it in it.
Hasn't come through to me. I haven't got it, Chocolate. Master B? No.
Yeah.
Where they started Chocolate saying that they'll ask you for citation when you prove their claim wrong. Where do we claim that we have Coriolis drift at 15 degrees now? Earth spinning with the air. Show me where we say we have drift. Meanwhile, in the comments, thanks Bob for proving a 15 degrees an hour drift under a gyro. So what? Thanks Bob for proving we turn beneath stuff at 15 degrees an hour, like helicopters and aeroplanes and drones? No, we don't. We'd notice. Show me where we claim drift. That's what they say. Ask you to prove that their claim you've debunked is actually their claim. Now you've debunked it.
When they say Earth spinning with the air, when I first heard that, it was like, this people are on drugs. We got east, west, north, south winds, but Earth is spinning with the winds.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know you don't. You're dumb as fuck. The horizon's not a physical edge. Do you need me to rattle off a few quotes from your own side about how non-physical the horizon is? It's 2020, mate. Try and keep up. The horizon is not a physical geometric sphere edge, Tim. Didn't you know? You seem to know about the black swan, but yet you don't know what it means.
What is it then, Nathan?
There's my black swan. It's actually been posted.
Sorry, the black swan we have debunks your claim that this touted shite that you've just presented, claimed to be undebunkable, has just been annihilated by the fact we don't have a physical sphere edge. And that's what you're claiming is Earth curve, mate. Maybe ignore it for the 7th time.
Any of those claims. I've never made any of this. You're strawmanning me.
Oh, really? So the horizon in this image isn't Earth curve?
You're
Now
just
that he
strawmanning me.
Strawmanning me or ignoring what I've just pointed out. So you've never made that claim. So the horizon in your image is touted for the last 2 years isn't Earth curve then, Tim?
Now that Tim is actually
Shut up. Whoever that is, shut up. It's just
Does
Dolores,
anyone
shut
even
up.
say that? Does anyone say that the horizon is Earth curve?
Yeah, you do, you dumb fuck. Brilliant. Yeah. Does anybody say the horizon's Earth curve? Yeah, it's the basis of your religion.
Yeah, you have for the past 4 years, and you are actually doing it right now. But yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, the image that you're about to present to the audience has got the title, This is Earth Curve, and is an image of multiple horizons. Does anybody claim the horizon's Earth curve? Yeah, you. It's just been debunked by the black swan. We don't have a horizon that's Earth curve. So meanwhile, let's all talk about perspective, right? Let's all talk about that, right up until the point that someone asks you where it is in Earth curve maths. It isn't.
Well, that's the problem. When the Earth curve only exists in the calculation, you can never show it or prove it.
Was there anything more to that clip that was worth playing?
Nah, it was kind of short because I didn't want to make it too long.
Said it all.
He said it 3 times in
I
3
mean, if you
different
want to
ways.
play, I don't know how much is left. If you want to play the rest, it's not much though.
Okay. So you're saying the horizon is an Earth curve, right, Tim? Nobody says that, right? Welcome to Flat Earth. So just for the clarity that it needs, Tim's just made it clear that nobody claims the horizon's Earth curve, right, Tim?
I've never heard that someone says that the horizon is Earth curve.
Oh, really? What do you think the Earth curve maths is asserting then, Tim?
You're straw manning his position.
Can you
and
shut
not
up,
addressing
Mr.
the picture he's
Solararis, or
posting
whatever
to you.
you're called? Yeah, that's it. That's the end. Bundy muting, white knighting started at that point because obviously Tim's getting an absolute beating, so his brethren comes to save him.
Yep. Yeah, it was devastating.
I've never heard anybody claim that the horizon's Earth curve, right, Tim? Oh, really? What's that you're touting? This is Earth curve?
I remember laughing so bad at that my coworkers looked at me like, "What the hell? Are you all right?" I'm sitting here like, I don't believe what I'm listening to, man.
Yeah, that's because of ignorance, basically. Tim had disappeared off the scene for a short period of time, maybe 6 or 8 months. And in that exact period, we were discussing the Black Swan and nothing else. And then he came back. Now, it had slowed down a little bit, obviously 8 months into the argument, enough for him to not really concern himself with it. It's not a hot topic. It's not like brand spanking fresh new. So he came in and he's like, yeah, I know about the Black Swan, because he's vaguely heard about it. But he doesn't. So then when it's put to him and he's taken through the steps of the logical consistency, where's he going to go? Nowhere, except to declare that nobody's claiming the horizon's Earth curve. That's where you go as a fundy when you met with the Black Swan, and you can't just hand wave it in a comment and obfuscate away from it. Lying to yourselves.
And no ballers, huh? No one in chat? I'm not looking
Pretty
at it.
weird that space.com article, which was literally named "How to Debate a Flat Earther," started with a very cute paragraph and ended it with, "It all starts at the horizon." So a little weird that somebody who's been debating this for 4 years would come in and tell us, "Yeah, I've never heard that." Who makes that claim? As I make that claim.
It starts there and it ends there.
Exactly.
So any ballers in chat? It's Friday. Come on, join in.
You got nothing but tumbleweeds.
Yeah, interesting.
The chat.
The undefendable globe. No one wants to defend the globe anymore. It's so embarrassing now.
Was that someone trying to pipe
I
up?
think it's embarrassing that it even needs defense in the first place.
Hold on a second. Was that someone trying to pipe up in Discord?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the chat skanks are just gossiping in a live stream chat. So no proofs, nothing.
I'm debating whether or not to trim that part out with that bint that was on, claiming that I'd made up the logical fallacy of begging the question. But I don't know how on topic it is to trim it out. I mean, other than highlighting baller stupidity, what purpose does it serve?
What do you mean? To show how dumb these ballers are. You gotta trim that out.
Nah, I don't think I will.
So,
Well,
no,
I did
I don't
trim
think
out.
so. Someone's trying to say something though.
I don't think they were.
No, there was someone at the same time Neil was talking.
Probably me.
No, it was female voice.
My wife is right next to me, so you might have heard her talking.
Oh, God.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, what I did trim out was Sasha's question. Now, Sasha's a long-time watcher, and he knows what he's doing when he asks certain questions. But he asked us, how did they get the tennis balls up to the ISS for them to do a live link-up after the French Open or something like that? Anyway, my response being space is fake, and they want us to argue about how they got the jerseys up to know what the Super Bowl contenders were going to be. Because then you're all begging the question that the sky is a vacuum, and then the only concern is how they got it up there within the timings. And as long as that's argued about enough, eventually, when they come up with a legitimate reason for why they've got something to get to a fake place that doesn't exist, everyone's satisfied. Oh, right, here's their explanation for how they got the jerseys up there in the way they did. So that video I trimmed out, that'll come out tonight. So if you're watching this live, that's coming out tonight. It's called Space Tennis, a begging the question story.
That didn't make any sense to me because all they have to do is have a jersey of each team in a league.
On a set on the Earth.
No, having all of them. So, okay, let's just go with what Neil's just said. So, in order to overcome this problem, so we say, how did they get the jerseys to know which contenders would be in the final? And the response is, whilst in a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum, they had all of the jerseys for all of the teams that could be in contention sent up prior in a former trip to a place that doesn't exist. Or to rephrase, when they last went through the wardrobe to Narnia, they took all the jerseys so that they got it all covered when they were in Narnia. That's how they did it.
I agree. But I'm saying to bring it up, how would they know what teams is stupid? That's all.
Not how they would operate in a violation of the second law of thermodynamics claimed to be a sky vacuum. You'd worry about how they'd figure out the timings for the jerseys rather than how they'd operate in a place that doesn't exist.
No, I agree. That's why I think the argument of what jerseys is stupid.
No, I think the answer is right there. They have to go through the closet, and in the closet are all the jerseys hanging.
Terrible.
I would like to go through that closet now.
Right, the closet is the trip from Earth to a place that isn't real. Space. A space that gas would fill if it were real, and we'd all be dead. So it's akin to Narnia, because travelling through a wardrobe to Narnia is the same as travelling through a sky vacuum to get to space. There is no space, there is no Narnia, so we don't need to worry about Edmund's change of shoes, or coat, or jerseys in Narnia, because they never went to Narnia. Narnia is not real. We don't need to worry about how they got the jerseys or the tennis balls to the ISS, because the place they're operating in is not real.
Oh, man, you just ruined a good story.
Okay, but I know, because they didn't age, man. They didn't age.
I'll just stick with the flux capacitor when I get to 88.
Hello, John. Okie dokie.
Hi, Nathan.
So yeah, that comes out tonight, 9 o'clock UK time. Usual time for a flat Earth debate on my second channel, but on a Friday there's no. I skip a day on a Friday. So yeah, go and check it out. Be Here or Be Sphere. It's called Space Tennis. There's a preview available now. If anyone's wondering why you get two videos that are very similar a few days apart, I'll explain. It used to just be amusing to me that the trolls couldn't figure it out, but now we'll explain, because enough people have asked on both sides. So YouTube now has a facility where you can put a trailer. Now, a trailer is any video less than 3 minutes. Now, obviously, they're expecting you to use the material that's actually in the video that's going to come out at a later date as a premiere. But while it's set to premiere, you can have a trailer. So right now, if you go and click on the video that's on the Nathan Oakley 1980 homepage under the playlist on the front page, which is called Flat Earth Thoughts 1980, you can click on that video that's set to premiere at 9 PM, and it will play out the trailer that I've already published as an unlisted video. That's how you do it. So if you want to know, you can look into this yourself on how to do it if you're a YouTuber. But that means that while the video is waiting to premiere, you can watch a trailer that's 3 minutes long. Once the video comes out, I then wait a few days and then release the short version. So you get a short version, normally less than, well, it must be less than 3 minutes long, and a long version. Very handy for me, because when in collaboration with DITRH, or the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon and Zodiac Clock app channel, he suggested getting a load of short clips together, 3 minutes long or less, or 5 minutes long, I think he said. But by coincidence, because I've made a load of trailers, I've got that. So I've put it all in the Dearth list, or Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole list, DITRH list, on my channel. So now I've got a load of 3 minute videos. But if anyone wonders why have I got the same or similar material, just much more condensed and much more concise, a couple of days after. That's why. There you go.
Nathan, has anybody given evidence of that ring of fire that Hop was asking for?
No,
Just
he's here as
wondering.
well. Hey, Harp. No, and I keep periodically checking back on it. Go on, Harp. Did you want to?
So it's good morning, guys.
Good morning.
It's very good that I got up. I wanted to talk to you early about this, but I could not get up because I was up since 4 o'clock looking into this shit. So I found these images that we've been looking at, that you can go back on these images and find them on the internet already. In other words, we don't have any pictures from 2021.
Yet.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah, it is.
At all. Those pictures they're giving us are not from 2021.
Okay.
Ones of the supposed Ring of Fire.
Okay, so I'll reiterate the issue, and then I'm sure you'll hopefully.
So now I just like.
Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say the reason I first brought this up was because we were talking about this in the after show, literally a couple of days before it was supposed to happen. And of course, the Globers are in there saying we predict these things to the very second. And like I said before, I noticed that the Great Conjunction didn't never happen. So, and I wanted to see the Ring of Fire. I was very interested. I started looking for the video, and there's nothing there. I'm thinking, oh, these guys, something's going on, and these guys think that the only way to predict these eclipses is using their global whatever.
Okay, perfect.
Saros.
Perfect.
Now the Saros, right? That began before, like most likely Aristotle and Eratosthenes. They already had these records so long ago, and with the technology we have today, they can look on these dates and just figure everything out. They should be able to figure it out to the second. They should. They didn't.
Okay.
So here's the question. Can somebody use this Saros to predict the next eclipse? It's going to be extremely close to what this is, and have it match the one that's already written. Like we're supposed to have another one.
Okay.
Can somebody do these maths?
I don't
in
know
other
why you
words,
want
this
to
takes
expand
like
on your
18 or
point.
19
Hold on.
years.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
So I don't know why you want to expand on your point. So there's been an eclipse. You were told in chat that you were going to have it predicted to the second based on a heliocentric globe model. And then it came and went, and nothing. No ridicule in our way when I've put it up. Check it out if you want to see this echoed in a more expansive way. The video is called Eclipse 2021 as predicted ? And you would expect us to have our noses rubbed in it, right? Yeah, you idiots. Look, we predicted it, and here it is. Not at all. That's not how this has happened.
But even if it did, what's the big deal?
Well, they've got to affirm the consequent by saying Earth a sphere, therefore eclipse, eclipse, therefore a sphere. And so far they've got Earth's a sphere, therefore the eclipse. Yeah, what about that eclipse? If they're going to affirm the consequent, they've got to actually have the observation of the thing they say they're going to happen to prove they're begging the question fallacy in the first statement. If P, then Q. If Earth a sphere, that would be your P statement. Then we'll observe the eclipse thusly. That's your Q statement. So then you've got to affirm the consequent, which is to say we observe the eclipse thusly, therefore Earth's a sphere. Well, they haven't. That's the problem. I mean, we'll get to it if they offer it, and then we'll point out that they've affirmed the consequent. But we're not even at that stage yet. They haven't even formed the fallacy.
No, I understand all that, but I'm saying even if they did show a picture of the Ring of Fire, it proves nothing.
Correct.
Of course.
They keep using this word prediction.
Yeah.
Are they predicting, or,
No.
or are they just recognizing patterns?
Recognizing.
Patterns.
Yeah, Sarah.
You got it.
Sarah.
What up,
Shameless
John?
plug time.
Again?
Sorry to interrupt this intellectual conversation about non-predictions. Signature numpty clip coming up Monday. Don't miss it. Fossilized brain tissue, starring Miles the Liar Davis, Sly the Spunk Monkey, Sparkane, and OLM, Oh Loser. Don't miss it. Thanks.
I was about to tell you off for we interrupt this highly intellectual actual discussion about the nature of reality for a plug for a show I've got going on, but I happen to know that's a very bloody good show, and I'll probably mirror it.
Thank you. Sorry, didn't mean to be rude.
Does someone have a prediction that Q
Sure.
would come on and plug a show, or do we know he was going to come on?
It's a pattern. It's a pattern.
Recognizing a pattern, baby.
Great minds. Chocolate. Yeah, indeed.
I set you guys up. Come on, give me a plug.
Feed line, punchline. Gotta have the good feed line. You're right, 10th. It's all down to you.
But no, I was
Have
going to
you-
say Raphael's Emephorus, as well as the Nautical Almanac, they know where the stars are 1,000 years in the past, 1,000 years in the future. They know the whole circuit. They know the pattern.
Maybe. Unless that pattern happened to change or not match up for whatever reason.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing about the pattern, right? It's not always identical. It says nearly, like when you're predicting these things in the future using this pattern, it says nearly exact. So I think they're using this Saros. They obviously are, because there's no globe. You know? So they're obviously using this Saros. And they predicted this thing and they screwed it up. And how many of these have they screwed up? Where all of a sudden the weather's bad and nobody can see it unless you're in a plane flying above the clouds.
You haven't got that
They
either.
like literally, did they know?
You haven't got any
you know,
of that, though.
they-
So you haven't got the plane above the ground, though. No, nobody's giving you anything, have they?
No,
There's a
they
video
have
of a plane and a bunch of
still
these
pictures.
eclipse, people, but the video hasn't shown up.
just pictures. That's all.
Yeah, but as you explained earlier,
Aren't there
after
people
lots of
that-
research, you figured out that the pictures that they have actually provided you are pre-existing pictures. They're not pictures from the June 10th full totality eclipse that was predicted according to them when they affirmed the consequent.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, aren't there people that would have been in the path of the totalitarian part of the eclipse? Wouldn't there be people from those
Totality, not-
regions that would be wondering this same question?
Yeah, so the people in Canada, in other words, but it's totality, not totalitarian.
Well, unless they force it on you.
Just hold on a second, guys in G+. Just ask, guys, hello. Just ask your question again, Rand, please.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the people in Canada and in the regions where you were supposed to be able to see this Ring of Fire eclipse. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people went out that night to see it, and a lot of them must be disappointed and asking questions today, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and it's very, very underreported. Precisely. You'd think this would be news, but it's now become a non-event that we're not having our noses rubbed in it for. We're the ones talking about it, as opposed to them rubbing our faces in it because they're affirming the consequent model predicted it, therefore because it predicted it, it makes their model real. Well, we're not getting any of that. It just doesn't make any sense. This isn't what was going down, again, as detailed earlier by Harp. Prior to the event, they were rubbing our noses prior to it with the self-assurance that they were going to actually have the event occur. And it didn't. We haven't been given any evidence that they've got the affirming the consequent evidence to actually affirm the consequent. So we can pull it apart as a fallacy. They haven't even got the fallacy. It's totally pathetic. It's a real loser for them. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, or joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on a Premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!